Tower defense games are a favorite genre inside of Little Wargame and throughout the broader gaming community. But unfortunately, it's the fact that they are such a popular genre that means that they can feel somewhat played out. The primary enjoyment that most people get out of the tower defense game is the puzzle-solving aspect. You are greeted with an array of towers and waves of enemies, and in order to defeat the overwhelming waves of enemies, you must build towers in particular order with particular upgrades and a limited amount of flexibility in so doing, so that you can overcome each of the waves and finally defeat each level. Once you have completed all of the waves, or all of the levels, or all of the missions of a tower defense game, however, this is where the enjoyment tends to run out. You may find other ways to play, but it's increasingly common in the tower defense genre, particularly in the single-player forms, that once you've found a solution, there's no real need to go find a more optimal solution. Some player versus environment or single-player tower defense games solve this problem by introducing challenge modes. Try and do this without this kind of tower. Try and do this under these circumstances or these difficulties. And they have a scoring system that is not quite like that of the main game. A good example of this would be Defense Grid The Awakening, which is on Steam and received much praise for putting in a lot of replayability through features such as this. However, RevionTD by Revion_unnamed provides an interesting take on the tower defense genre. What if instead of having CPU opponents or AI spawn waves of units that come into you, you had players who were spawning units? Certainly now there would be an increased level of challenge and difficulty in navigating the puzzle, because the person you are playing against and the puzzle master is another human being. But RevionTD takes this up one step further. Whenever you spawn units, they go through your opponent's tower defense line. If they hit the castle at the end a certain number of times, your opponent loses the game. Same thing for yourself. Enemy units will spawn through your own lines, and if they hit the castle, your castle at the end of your wave, then they will kill you after a certain number of hits. But Revion manages to balance these two aspects in a very interesting way, and it's as follows. Passive income. Throughout the game of RevionTD, you will receive passive income. When you make new units to go through your opponent's waves, you are not upgrading your own towers or building up your own defenses. However, you are giving a unit that has two properties. The first property is as follows. If this unit is killed by my opponent, they will gain a certain amount of gold. Normally, this isn't something that you would consider doing. Why would I make units just to funnel them through my opponent's towers and give them more economy? Seems like a waste of money. But the other aspect, the ingenious aspect of Revion's turret defense mod, is that when you build these units, they also give you income over time. So you can build units knowing that each unit that you build will give you income over time, whereas they will only give your opponents income if they manage to kill them. This is an interesting dynamic, because now what do? Do you set up towers to more easily crush and kill your opponent's line and keep your castle safe? You could do that in the short term, but your economy, your passive income, won't be as strong. Do you go for a very strong passive income, but perhaps let a couple of waves of units through? Your castle can only take a certain number of hits before it dies, and there's no recovering it. Do you tech up and make a few very expensive units that have higher income, but also give your opponent disproportionate rewards for killing them? Or do you make waves of smaller units who give the same reward to your opponent for killing them that they do for you in terms of income, but will allow you to grow your income and economy more quickly? All of these questions are compounded by the fact that RevionTD is not a 1 versus 1 tower defense game. It is in fact a free-for-all that fits up to 4 players. So it's not simply a matter of who you are attacking and who you are defending, but you may be sending enemies into a wave that is being destroyed by the player to your right equivalently, while taking waves from your opponent on the left. This means that you have to maintain an appropriate balance of your own economy relative to the danger you face on the part of the player who is doing the damage to you presently. It can also mean that if you rest on your laurels, because perhaps the opponent to your left who is spawning waves into you is having a bad time of it and needs to spend more money on tower defenses, that your own meager defenses will prove wholly inadequate when that player is eliminated and the waves come charging after you next. So if you haven't tried it already, try Revion Tower Defense. This is something of a revolution in the tower defense genre, especially inside of Little Wargame. It's really well designed and balanced, and I think there's something there for everyone. So start making towers, start making units, and I'll see you there.